hope you have all been enjoying tonight's tea. It's some special Anji Bai Cha. And we'd like to thank Ling Yu Yang and Tiandao Tea City for a very kind gift of a raffle prize, which is a beautiful teapot. So, Stephen, can I ask you to draw the first prize?
Can I win?
Did you put a name card in?
This looks decidedly dodgy.
Looks decidedly dodgy, but I suppose they have numbers in their favour. We'd obviously like to thank our sponsor, Kpmg, and congratulate Jinwei Li. Li Jinwei. Okay, and for our second prize, I would like to thank Andrew Appleby for the donation of classic afternoon tea for two at the Shangri-La Hotel at the Shard in London. Let's turn them all over, yeah. We have Justin Young from 11SB. Give it to him.
What is it?
It's, yeah, afternoon tea for two.
Well done.
Very good, well done, Justin. Okay, and we have our final prize, and we would like to thank the Intercontinental. Thank you, Velimir Burazor, for the donation of Saturday or Sunday brunch for 4 people in the Cookbook Cafe at the Intercontinental Park Lane. So pretty good prize. Let's hope that you're sitting near 4 of your friends, 3 of your friends tonight when you win this. Laura Stevens from Howard Kennedy. Oh, more photos, more photos. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I promise this is the last time you'll see me on stage, okay? So I've got just a couple of short things to say before I make my next introduction. Adam did mention it earlier, but I'm going to mention it again. You will all have on your places nearby you a flyer for our next event, which is the 11th of June. Thanks to Kpmg, we will be hearing Gerard Kleisterly, who's the chairman of Vodafone, in Canary Wharf. So please do book a place early. Our events are almost always completely full a couple of weeks beforehand, so please do register online. And right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Madam Chen from Icbc, who will come and say a few words to you all and introduce the ambassador.
Thank you for your introduction, Edward. Your Excellency Ambassador Liu, Chairman Stephen Perry, young Icebreakers, my lord, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm greatly honored to be here at the annual dinner of the Young Icebreakers. Many thanks to Chairman Stephen Perry for your kind invitation and the opportunity to get to know some of the most brilliant young professionals and probably the most knowledgeable China hands in this country. Before we listen to the keynote speech by Ambassador Liu, I would like to briefly share with you the story of ICBC, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. As you may or may not know, ICBC is not only the leading bank in mainland China, but also the world's largest bank in terms of capital, total assets, profits, and most of the time by market capitalization. But I guess few of you are aware that ICBC in London has also been a true young icebreaker. ICBC was formally established in 1984 in China after its separation from PBOC, the Chinese central bank. With a history of only 31 years, ICBC is a relatively young person in the global banking industry. And like a young person of 31, ICBC is at the right age, mature but also energetic, combining the best aspects of youth and experience. This year marks the 20th anniversary of ICBC's presence in London. We started from a representative office in 1995. Then in 2003, Icbc London Plc, a wholly owned subsidiary of ICBC, was founded with a capital injection of $100 million. It was the first mainland Chinese bank operation to have been established in the UK since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. And believe it or not, it was also the single largest investment from mainland China to the UK at that time. In other words, ICBC became an icebreaker for China-UK economic cooperation. Last year, in September, the UK banking regulators authorized ICBC to establish a branch in London to run alongside the existing successful subsidiary. ICBC London branch is the very first branch to have been established in the UK by a bank from Chinese mainland since the founding of the People's Republic of China again. It is also the very first branch by a foreign bank from non-EEA countries to have been authorized by UK regulators under the new regulatory regime. Once again, ICBC became an icebreaker of financial cooperation between the UK and China, as well as the wider community. My story isn't over yet. Very recently, in early February this year, ICBC completed its acquisition of a majority stake in Standard Bank plc in London. The acquisition is the first transaction in which a Chinese bank has entered the commodities trading and global market business through the acquisition of an international bank. Indeed, ICBC, the icebreaker, is once again navigating a careful course through a new landscape in London, the ever-growing, ever-changing global financial center. Your Excellency, Chairman Perry, my Lord, ladies and gentlemen, the story of ICBC demonstrates the dynamic growth of economic and financial ties between UK and China. ICBC will work together with all young icebreakers and carry forth their ambition and enthusiasm to fully realize the huge potential of China-UK cooperation. Thank you. Thank you again. Now, would everyone please join me in welcoming His Excellency Mr. Liu Xiaoming, Chinese Ambassador to the United Kingdom. Mr. Liu, please.
Chairman Stephen Perry, Chairman Edward Pierce, young icebreakers, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great delight for me to join you at the Young Icebreakers 7th anniversary dinner and honor of attending 6 of your anniversary celebrations. So you can see I've been here for more than 5 years so that I can have this honor to be with you for the past 5 years. Since you passed this threshold of 5 years of tour of duty in one country, the most frequently asked question is, Ambassador, how long are you going to stay here? I said I cannot answer that question. I'm not so sure because my answer normally is I serve at the pleasure of my president. But one thing I'm certain, that I'm well on my way to be the champion of Chinese ambassadors in London. Because by August this year, I'll be here for 5 years and 6 months. The longest term of my predecessors is 5 years and 5 months. And shortest one, surprise to you, is 1 year, 1 month. So I'm very pleased to be this champion. In the past 5 years, I've seen many of the events like this, and through these events, I've seen how much progress has been made, how much young icebreakers have grown from strength to strength in the past 5 years, how much stronger you have become as an organization of young people, and how much you have developed the vital role in strengthening and advancing China-UK relations. Tonight, Chairman Perry gave me some wise advice about the theme for this evening. I've most willingly taken his suggestion. The topic he suggests that I talk to you about is the very frequently quoted phrase, namely, one belt, one road. As you may know, this is also a very hot subject, hot topic, attracting world attention these days. Indeed, I can reveal to you that I'm currently working on an article on this topic to be published by Financial Times, I hope soon. So this sounds like a little bit advertising for my article. But tonight, I'm not going to give you a preview of my article. I have to, I can't say I signed agreement of, not giving away their state secret. But I want to share my thought with you from a different angle. This is to tell you the story of one belt, one road by using 6 W's. The first W is what. That is, what is one belt, one road? One belt, one road is short for the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. The idea took its name from the historical Silk Roads. It refers to the network of 2,000-year-old multiple land and maritime trade and cultural routes that link Asia, Europe, and Africa. One belt, one road may have been inspired by the ancient Silk Road, but it is a brand new 21st century initiative with the following aims: strengthen connectivity between Asia, European, and African countries, built a regional economic cooperation structure that is open, inclusive, balanced, and mutually beneficial. Revive the maritime and overland routes of an ancient Silk Road. And ultimate goal is to encourage growth and cooperation along the routes. Turning to the second W, one was this initiative put forward. In September and October 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Central Asia and Southeast Asian countries. During the visit, President Xi Jinping called on the relevant countries to follow the creative and cooperative spirit of ancient Silk Road and to build Silk Road economic belt and 21st century maritime Silk Road. It has been a year and a half since the initiative was first put forward. The response from the international community has been most gratifying. From around the world, there has been expression of enormous interest, great enthusiasm, and strong participation. Now I come to the third W. Where will the One Belt and One Road be built? One Belt and One Road will start from the dynamic East Asia. Then the routes will extend westward and wave through the vast Eurasia hinterland. This is where the greatest growth potential lies. The routes will then reach the highest, highly developed European economies in the West. Here are the very impressive figures. One Belt, One Road will link over 60 countries. It will bring on board 4.4 billion population. That equates to 63% of the world's population. The combined GDP is over 21 trillion US dollars, and that accounts for almost 30% of the world total. As cooperation between the participating countries deepens, it will have a huge impact. One Belt, One Road will create the largest ever and the most extensive emerging economic belt ever seen in human history. That brings us to the fourth W. Who may participate in this initiative? One Belt, One Road is open, flexible, and inclusive. China welcomes participation from all countries along the routes. China also welcomes international organizations, multinational companies, financial institutions, and non-governmental organizations. Now we reach the fifth W. Why was the initiative put forward? These are the highlights behind the concept of One Belt, One Road. It is basically aimed at cultivating new growth points for the world economy. It will enable closer regional cooperation and better connectivity. It will help the countries along the routes to move up the global supply chain, the industrial chain, and the value chain. It will facilitate better exchanges of ideas and mutual learning between different civilizations. Of course, China itself will benefit from One Belt, One Road. It is good for further expanding and deepening China's opening up and reform. It will enhance integration between Chinese and foreign market, investment, and energy and resources. And it will help narrow the development gap between China's central and western region and the coastal region in the east. After covering the 5 words begins with a W, I'm now coming to the 6th and the last W. This time the word ends with a W. That is, how do we build one road, one belt, one road? As the initiator, China has been active in dialogue and consultations with the countries along the route. We have been promoting mutually beneficial cooperation, and we have implemented a number of measures aimed at some earlier tangible results. President Xi Jinping visited Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and Belarus recently. One Belt, One Road was one of the major subjects on the president's agenda. Not long ago, the Chinese government released a document called Vision and Actions. It outlines how countries can come together with China to build One Belt, One Road. The document identified 5 priority areas for cooperation. They are policy coordination, facility connection, trade liberalization, financial integration, and the people-to-people communication. So we call it 5 Shens. China has also set up a number of financial platforms, such as the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, short, as we all know as a AIIB, and the Silk Road Fund. It is most encouraging how these organizations have drawn enthusiastic participation from many countries, including the UK. Clearly, One Belt, One Road is not China's solo performance. It is a grand symphony of all countries along the routes. However, whenever something new comes up, some people tend to have different views about it. It is normal. What one should look out for is where the views and comments are justified, fair, and objective. Some people in the West often see Chinese actions from a negative perspective. Some of them say that One Belt, One Road is a power play by China on the geopolitical chessboard. They claim that there's a strategic motive behind it. But nothing could be further from the truth. One Belt, One Road is nobody's geopolitical tool. It is rather a public good that China provides to the world. It is an initiative that has no military consideration. It has nothing to do with the dispute. Its only focus is on economic cooperation and people-to-people exchanges. If one had to give it some kind of a geographical significance, perhaps the significance can be described as such. This initiative will release enormous potential for development. It will become self-evident once the countries along the routes become interconnected and eagerly engaged in cooperation. This will in turn give a strong push to global economic growth, and this will deliver a regional stability for the world, peace and prosperity. Some other people say that China hopes to reshape the international economic order so as to have a bigger say for itself. But the truth about One Belt, One Road is this. This initiative is not designed to replace existing regional cooperation mechanism. It is based on what is already in existence, and it will encourage countries along the routes to dovetail their economic strategies and benefit from each other's strengths. One Belt, One Road is definitely not one-man show by China. The countries on the route will all have their say. It's not a monopoly of any sort. All participants are equal, and decisions will be made through consultations, and actions will be taken jointly. The AIIB, for example, will follow international practice. It will learn from the theoretical as well as the practical experience of existing multilateral financial institutions. And AIIB will be an improvement to and supplement to the established international economic and financial order. Still, there are some people who hold that One Belt, One Road is for China to export its redundant industrial capacity. While it is true that China is a global manufacturing power and China has a clear advantage in capacity, technology, and financial resources, in comparison, many of the countries along One Belt, One Road are pre-industrialized. There's a clear mutual complementarity between the two, and this complementarity will allow both the benefit from the cooperation. However, China is not going to dump products on these countries, nor will China relocate its outdated assembly lines to these countries. China's principle in carrying out cooperation along routes is this: will foster the conservation culture. This means will emphasize sustainable and green development, will strengthen cooperation in eco-conservation, biodiversity, and tackling climate change. What China wants is a network of Silk Roads that is green. The green Silk Road is what we are working for. Last but not least, I want to emphasize that One Belt, One Road offers precious and enormous opportunities for China-UK cooperation. For hundreds of years, Chinese silk, tea, and porcelain traveled thousands of miles along the ancient Silk Road to reach Britain. These products have found their way into the very heart of British culture. They are the very first goods, marking the beginning of trade between our two countries. Today, One Belt, One Road initiative will open up even greater prospects for China-UK cooperation. It will offer golden opportunities for business communities of our two countries. Britain excels in talent, technology, finance, designing, and the legal profession. This means that there's an important role that Britain can play in building One Belt, One Road. The British people have already made a good start. Chinese people strongly commend the British government's decision to take the lead of major Western countries to join the AIIB. This move by the UK gives me great confidence that One Belt, One Road will bring new vim and vigor into China-UK relations. Young icebreakers, I see you two valuable qualities: the audacity of the young and the pioneering spirit of young icebreakers. These qualities are essential if you are to meet the challenges of our time. This is a golden time to further deepen China-UK relations. I wish you success in your career. I also hope you will take an active part in building One Belt, One Road. Here's before you a wonderful opportunity to deliver an even more brilliant chapter of China-UK cooperation and friendship. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Liu, thank you very much for another incredibly insightful speech. Your work with us really makes this type of event so much more special, and we're very, very grateful to have your support. I hope that we will all be here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years' time, and some of us may have taken some of these fast trains across Central Asia, and we hope to invite you back to come to such dinners in the future and celebrate with us. I would also just like to quickly mention a big thank you to the restaurant and to Stuart and his team who've done an amazing job tonight. But I would now like to pass the microphone over to Richard Reed from Kpmg, who will say a few closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for the introduction. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Reed, and I am the chairman of Kpmg here in London. I'm not quite sure how I can possibly follow the ambassador. I mean, outstanding speech, ambassador, and very, very insightful. About a year ago, Peter Nolan was here, standing, talking to us about the Silk Road and the plans that were starting to emerge from Beijing. An awful lot has happened in the last year, and the blueprint and scale of the One Belt, One Road initiative has become a lot clearer, and it's been even clearer to us all after the ambassador's speech. And the opportunities for all the countries around the world, really, are absolutely huge, including, of course, the tremendous opportunities for us here in the UK to work with China in this extremely exciting initiative. I mean, when you link, as the ambassador said, 63% of the world population together, it's going to make a huge impact. Mutual learning, working together, economic cooperation. I mean, these things are really, really important, and China's taking the lead. As the ambassador said, the UK government took a proactive step in backing the AIIB. Others in Europe soon followed, and it will play such an important part in facilitating the One Belt, One Road initiative, and in us all, which I think is so important, working together in improving and enhancing world trade. Now, as many of you know, Kpmg has been a huge supporter of the 48 Group Club and everything that Stephen has been doing, and the incredibly important work that it does to promote positive relations between the UK and China. And you, so many of you here, the young icebreakers, the network is incredibly important. And you must never think that it is nothing but. I mean, it really is unbelievably important. You are the next generation of business leaders in the UK who will link in with the Chinese organizations to get to know each other, to learn from each other, and to work together. China is, for me, hugely important, as some of you who know me know very well. And it's obviously very, very important to Kpmg. About 8 years ago, well, nearly 9 now, I decided that we needed to get much closer to China. We've got a big practice over there. But I said we needed to focus on China because it was going to become the biggest economy in the world. And we needed all to be in the China tent, working together as China expanded. I think a huge amount has been achieved, but an awful lot of this is actually about working together, to understand cultures, to understand people. And I can't overemphasize the importance of it. I can't overemphasize the importance of going out there. Both the ambassador and his predecessor always say to me, however often you go to China, it is not enough. Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for being here this evening, and thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do here in the UK. I have to say that I personally, and I'm sure everyone here, hopes that you will indeed be the champion and be here well beyond August. You have helped to strengthen China-UK business links. You are an absolute champion in the growth that's been achieved. I'm enormously looking forward to the events later on this year, to the President coming over, and I hope, well, I know that we will give him a huge welcome, and I know that Stephen will be right at the centre of that and making it happen, and I'm sure a number of you in this room will be part of that as well. I've got nothing else to say other than to thank you very much indeed, Ambassador, for being here, for everything that you have done and can, as I say, continue to do. And thank you everyone for being here tonight, and thank you, Stephen, for making this all possible, because it's your enthusiasm and passion that makes this happen. Without you, and 62 years ago, I think it is, when it first all started, that was a pretty key date. So thank you very much indeed. But a big, big thank you to the Ambassador. I don't have a glass, but I would like us all to raise our glasses to the Ambassador and building stronger relations between the UK and China. Thank you very much indeed.